We hit they block, but they ain't bust back. Been thuggin' since a younger, but I know motherfucking rug right now. Who want that? This dirty burner pushes down back. It's rules to the shit. You see a sucker, get up on that. What you call that? The enemy just got they bro whacked. I heard he
on the throat. I've been trying to go and get it every day, chasing dope. So rough, so tough in that city that I'm from. So what? Chunk it up, index finger and the thumb. L gang be the gang that these niggas running from. Ay, that these niggas running from.
I'm in the suburbs, drunk as fuck, I almost crashed the whip. Got these Chinese choppers doing numbers, karate kick. Lurking through they section, running to them like I'm Marshall Lynch. I be outside, they got me beefing with a party clip.
The Longos have resided in the city of Long Beach since the 1960s and have since become one of the largest Sureño gangs in the harbor area. One of their biggest enemies has got to be the Tiny Raskals gang, but the Longos are known to go at it with a lot of hoods in the city of Long Beach due to the fact that the Longos press CK in the city of Crips. In the 90s, violence between the Longos and the Asian gangs of Long Beach were at an all-time high. The number of bodies dropped in between these gangs are rumored to be in the hundreds. Out of all the gangs the Longos beef with, it is rumored that the Tiny Raskals are one of their biggest enemies, despite the Raskals having much fewer numbers compared to other gangs in Long Beach. The Longos are estimated to have around 1,500 members in the city of Long Beach alone. Just to give you a perspective on how deep they actually are, it's rumored that the Tiny Raskals have around 2,000 members nationwide. The war between these two hoods was intense, and the level of violence spiked in the 90s due to retaliation from both gangs. These gangs have been going at it since the 80s, and this beef runs deep for all parties involved due to both sides taking multiple losses. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how this conflict came to be, and also take a look at some of the bloodshed that happened in between these two gangs. If you guys want to request a video on my channel, don't forget to get at me on Instagram. But without further ado, let's get into it. After escaping the Khmer Rouge, a lot of the refugee children began attending public schools in the city of Long Beach, which at the time was dominated by the Sureños. Out of all the Sureño gangs in Long Beach, the Longos have got to be the biggest gang that resides here. The Longos have been in Long Beach since the 1960s. In the beginning, it's believed that they were once one large group, but during the 70s, they split up due to internal conflict, which caused them to split up into three main factions. The Eastside Longos are considered to be the biggest faction, with the west side coming in second and the north side being the smallest out of the three groups. All three sides are broken up into multiple cliques that claim territory all throughout the city of Long Beach. Besides the Tiny Raskals, the Longos are known to go at it with nearly every Crip set that resides in Long Beach. The Longos roll hella deep, and for this reason, they are able to take on multiple beefs at the same time. They are, without a doubt, the most hated Sureño gang in all of Long Beach, and arguably the most hated Sureño gang in the entire Los Angeles County. The Longos and other immigrant communities didn't take kindly to the wave of refugees coming from Cambodia, which resulted in a lot of the children getting bullied and jumped by the Longos and other Hispanic gangs. By the year 1985, the children that were being picked on and bullied eventually got together to form the Tiny Raskals. Initially, the Raskals went at it with the Eastside Longos pretty tough, and in the 90s, bloodshed was at an all-time high, resulting in countless members from both sides losing their lives. All throughout the 90s, there were multiple bodies dropped from both gangs, and the streets of Long Beach became a war zone. Some notable members of the Eastside Longos that lost their lives were Little Man, Gizmo, Nacho, and Clover. There are a lot of rumors as to how the gang war started between the Raskals and the Longos, but it is widely believed that the killing of Oswaldo Carbaja was a big reason the level of violence increased so much in the 90s. Oswaldo was a 16-year-old male that was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in the year 1989, just a year before the killings really started to ramp up between the TRG and the Longos. But don't get shit twisted, the beef between these gangs existed way before the killing of Oswaldo. A car full of TRG gang members pulled up to a car full of Eastside Longo members on Anaheim and Cherry Avenue. First, the occupants of both cars traded insults and hand signs, and then the Raskals fired into the Longo car, killing Oswaldo Carbaja. As the level of violence continued to increase between these gangs, at some point in the 90s, the East and West Side Longos put a pause on their internal beef to deal with the Tiny Raskals gang. The Sureño gangs within Long Beach quickly came to realize that the Southeast Asians were not your typical run-of-the-mill gang members. It's pretty common amongst the Sureños that women and children are off limits. It wasn't uncommon for rival gang members to hold off on attacking enemies if they were with women or children. But when it came to the Asian gangs, they were not so considerate, and they would bring another level of violence that really got the attention of the Longos, which caused the East and West Side to band together to deal with the Tiny Raskals gang. What a lot of people tend to forget about these refugees is that these people are war refugees, and they've been exposed to a level of violence back in their homeland that most Americans could only have nightmares of. When you back a dog into a corner, it's only natural for the dog to snap back, and I feel like that's exactly what happened in this situation, except the dog in this case are war refugees that escaped literal killing fields back in their homeland. These types of people are going to respond to violence with even more violence, and that became known really fast in the streets. And let's be honest, when it comes to firepower and metal, the Asians got that shit on lock. It's widely known on the streets that if you're looking for some guns, 9 times out of 10, the Asian dude down the street has some. And we're not talking about little 38 specials, we're talking big shit. The fact that the Longos called a truce between the East and West Side just to deal with the Tiny Raskals should tell you everything you need to know. I mentioned this earlier, but the Longos run deep. They are probably the biggest Sureño gang in Long Beach for sure. But as you know, the Raskals still exist within Long Beach to this very day, so they definitely held their own. When it comes to the Tiny Raskals in Long Beach, they have been always known to be extremely mobile, essentially like ghosts. You can't see them, but they see you for sure. Growing up in Koreatown, there was always a us versus them mentality amongst the Asians and the Latino communities. And I feel like in Long Beach, it's 10 times as more intense. Truth be told, some of my closest friends were of Hispanic descent. Plus my name being Sergio, you already know I'm gonna get some type of love from that community. But all jokes aside, it's kind of sad to see this rivalry because from what it looks like right now, there is no end in sight. Each side has lost so many good homeboys, and retaliation is a must. Both of these gangs are extremely well respected in the hoods of Long Beach, and when you've got a reputation to uphold, sliding back is mandatory. If you haven't noticed, it's the same exact story with different characters in different cities, and it's on repeat. It's a vicious cycle, and I hope my videos can show you guys just how dark this lifestyle can be, and that it only ends with prison or death. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave it a like, but until next time, I'll be seeing you guys later. Peace.